The early morning light on the Eurotas River offers little comfort to the Spartan soldier. Ahead, the enemy forms. His vision, however, is not focused on their array. Instead, it is severely restricted by the confines of his bronze helmet, a seemingly impossible problem for effective combat coordination. The primary piece of defensive headgear for the Spartan hoplite was the Corinthian helmet, a formidable structure forged from thick bronze. Its design prioritized absolute protection, encasing the entire head, including the face and neck. This metallurgical shell was engineered to deflect blows from sword, spear, and arrow. To accommodate the wearer's sight, narrow horizontal slits were cut into the helmet's ocular area. These openings, often no wider than 2 centimeters, limited peripheral vision drastically. A frontal tunnel effect was created, forcing the soldier's gaze directly forward, narrowing his field of view to a mere fraction of natural sight. From the earliest stages of the Agoge, Spartan youths were conditioned to operate under these visual constraints. Training drills specifically incorporated scenarios demanding acute auditory and tactile awareness, compensating for the severely limited ocular input. Peripheral movement was often sensed, not seen. This visual restriction was not an oversight, but an integral part of the phalanx's mechanical logic. The individual soldier's limited sight underscored his reliance on the collective. His primary focus became the shield of the man to his left and the rear of the man in front, reinforcing unit cohesion. Inside the helmet, other senses intensified. The rhythmic scrape of bronze shields, the synchronized commands, and the vibrations of the ground under marching feet became critical navigational data. The soldier experienced battle as a system of tightly integrated sensory inputs, minimizing the role of broad visual perception. Furthermore, the formidable, impersonal visage of the Corinthian helmet served a secondary function: psychological warfare. To the enemy, it presented an unyielding, featureless mask, devoid of human emotion or individuality. This terrifying sight was a calculated element, impacting the morale of opposing forces. The operational mechanics of the phalanx formation inherently mitigated the visual limitations. The Spartan hoplite moved as part of a dense, interlocking wall of shields and spears. His primary visual requirement was to maintain precise alignment with the man to his immediate left and the rank directly in front. Within this rigid structure, commands were primarily auditory. The deep guttural calls of the polemarchs and enematarchs, often repeated down the ranks, dictated movement, attack, and defense. These pre-drilled signals were internalized during decades of the Agoge, rendering immediate visual confirmation secondary. The othismos, the synchronized push of the shield wall, was a tactile and collective effort, not a visually directed charge. Each soldier felt the pressure from behind and exerted it forward, trusting the integrity of the line. The helmet's restriction inadvertently strengthened this sense of physical unity. For the Spartan, battle was less about individual perception and more about integrated system response. His personal vision might be confined, but the collective vision of the phalanx, guided by its commanders and internal discipline, was a singular, advancing entity. The helmet contributed to this depersonalization. This method contrasted sharply with many contemporary armies, such as the more individualistic combat styles favored by some barbarian tribes, where personal prowess and uninhibited sight were paramount. The Spartan system deliberately suppressed individual visual initiative for collective kinetic force. Even the Athenians, while employing a phalanx, often preferred lighter helmets like the Chalcidian, offering broader peripheral vision. This design philosophical difference highlighted the Spartan commitment to a near-blind, unified shield wall where individual sight was a controlled variable. The Spartan phalanx, therefore, did not see in the conventional sense. It functioned as a mechanical system where limited individual visual input was compensated by rigorous auditory command, disciplined tactile interaction, and an unyielding commitment to collective movement. The helmet was a feature, not a bug. The operational advantage of such visual restriction lay in its contribution to the phalanx's unyielding momentum. Individual hesitation, often born from broad visual distractions or fear, was minimized. The helmet forced a singular, collective focus, turning each soldier into an interchangeable component within a larger war machine. However, this specialized visual system, while effective in open field, head-on engagements presented significant vulnerabilities in other scenarios. Urban combat, broken terrain, or engagements requiring rapid adaptation to flanking maneuvers were inherently problematic for a formation relying on such limited individual sight. The rigidity enforced by the helmet and the phalanx doctrine meant a reduced capacity for individual improvisation. A soldier could not independently identify a specific threat beyond his immediate visual tunnel or react to it without potentially disrupting the entire tightly packed formation. Adaptability was sacrificed for cohesion. The system worked flawlessly when the enemy presented itself directly ahead in a predictable mass. But when faced with skirmishers, light cavalry, or tactics designed to disorganize the phalanx, the restricted vision became a liability. Commanders bore the full burden of situational awareness, a complex, high-pressure task. Moreover, the sensory deprivation, combined with the claustrophobic enclosure, exacted a physical and psychological toll. While trained, the sustained high-stress environment inside the bronze shell demanded immense mental fortitude, even for a Spartan, pushing human endurance to its limits during prolonged engagements. The evolution of warfare saw increasing emphasis on flexible tactics and diverse unit compositions. The static, visually constrained phalanx, with its highly specialized individual components, struggled to adapt. This inflexible design, once its greatest strength, became a contributing factor to its eventual obsolescence. The Spartan's helmet was a microcosm of their entire military philosophy, uncompromising protection and absolute cohesion, even at the cost of individual perception and adaptability. This mechanical efficiency, while terrifyingly effective for centuries, eventually encountered a world that demanded a different kind of sight. The evolution of the Greek battlefield saw the introduction of more flexible formations and specialized units. Light infantry, peltasts, and eventually cavalry became crucial for flanking and disrupting the rigid phalanx. The Spartan helmet's visual limitation exacerbated the phalanx's vulnerability to these innovations. During the Peloponnesian War, Spartan armies frequently faced challenges in varied terrain or against opponents employing hit-and-run tactics. The limited sight lines of the helmet, coupled with the phalanx's inherent difficulty in rapid reorientation, led to costly engagements and exposed weaknesses. The Battle of Leuctra in 371 BCE epitomized this systemic failure. The Theban oblique order specifically targeted and crushed the Spartan right wing. The restricted visual field within the Corinthian helmets likely hindered immediate recognition of the unprecedented depth and weight of the attacking column. The helmet, designed for head-on impact and collective push, became a symbol of a military system struggling to adapt. As individual decision-making and broader situational awareness gained importance in complex tactical environments, the Spartan phalanx's singular focus became a detriment. Over time, the Spartan reliance on this highly specialized, visually restricted system led to a strategic rigidity. Their inability to easily integrate or effectively counter diverse military strategies eventually contributed to the decline of their military supremacy, despite individual bravery. The very design that made the Spartan soldier an unparalleled instrument of frontal shock, the heavy bronze helmet with its narrow slits, ultimately constrained his and his unit's ability to see the changing landscape of warfare. It forced a specific mode of combat that was becoming obsolete. This mechanical limitation was not a singular cause of collapse, but a key contributing factor, highlighting how even a perfectly optimized component within a system can become a weakness when the external environment undergoes fundamental transformation. The helmet became a blindfold in a dynamic world. The very ethos of Sparta, founded on unwavering discipline and collective identity, found physical manifestation in the helmet. It was an instrument designed to enforce conformity, to reduce the individual to a function of the whole, prioritizing an absolute narrow focus over adaptive perception. Later, military innovators, such as Philip II of Macedon, recognized the limitations of the classic hoplite phalanx. They introduced longer spears, more flexible formations, and improved command structures that emphasized broader situational awareness and combined arms, moving beyond the Spartan paradigm. The Spartan phalanx, with its nearly blind bronze-clad components, remained a formidable machine in its specific domain. However, its efficiency was predicated on an unchanging battlefield. The helmet, a perfect solution for a known problem, became a symbol of a system unable to see new challenges. Ultimately, the answer to how a Spartan soldier saw anything within his helmet lies not in visual acuity, but in a complete redefinition of perception. It was a collective, tactile, and auditory experience, meticulously orchestrated by training and discipline, effectively creating a single, vast, and deliberately constrained vision. The cost of this mechanical efficiency was profound. The individual soldier surrendered not only his personal sight, but also much of his autonomy and adaptability, subsumed into a system designed for unyielding, forward momentum, sacrificing individual light for collective dark. The Corinthian helmet, therefore, stands as a testament to Sparta's relentless pursuit of military perfection through engineered systems. It epitomizes a civilization's choice to deliberately narrow individual perception for the sake of an unyielding, unified force, a paradox of strength and vulnerability. What does the Spartan helmet's design and its implications for individual sight versus collective action reveal about the trade-offs any society makes in its pursuit of ultimate efficiency or security?